Week 11. We're actually in week 12.
Yeah, we are.
But we have to cover week 11 before we can move on to week 12. We do owe our audience an apology. We did not make our Thanksgiving Day picks as we said we would. But when one of the games got cut and it came down to two shitty games, it was pretty obvious. I don't know. I mean,
it's okay.
Not that people give a crap or will believe me at all, but I would have taken Houston and Washington. So I would have won them both anyway.
I'm going to be honest. I would have taken Houston and I was going to take the Cowboys, but I would have been wrong with that one.
I would have gained a game on you. Shit.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And I know we're not covering these games, but it's obviously where offensive line and defensive line. That's where you don't have one of those, you're done. And that's what happened to the Cowboys. So
yes, and Antonio Gibson, who's on my fantasy team, went off this week.
Yep.
Oh my God.
I would have been really wrong.
Yeah. I think Mike McCarthy's done.
He might not be because of the way this year is and the injuries. They might give him another year, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, Matt Patricia got canned today, along with the GM. So
yep.
They took their typical Thanksgiving ass whooping as they normally do at home. It's just they're so predictable, man. Detroit. They're just always around 500. Thanksgiving comes, they get their ass kicked on national TV, and then it's all downhill from there.
And I actually think that firing was a result of what happened to a game we're covering today, to be honest with you. I think he didn't do it because it was such a short – they didn't fire him because it was such a short week, but I think it had everything to do with the game we're covering right now.
I think you are absolutely spot on with that. So let's dive into the 1 o'clock games for Week 11. Let's see, the first one actually had dire consequences for up-and-coming Cincinnati Bengals team.
Yeah.
Alex Smith, horrific, as it turns out.
That they are in, and obviously I came out wrong with it because I picked Cincinnati, and they were doing, they weren't beating, they weren't beating them by a lot, but they were actually in the lead. And the irony of it was when I picked Cincinnati, I said, "Oh, I haven't heard anything from that vaunted Washington defensive line in like 4 or 5 weeks." Well, we certainly heard about them big time as they took out Burrow, and he's out for the rest of the year. And who knows when he's going to start.
Yeah, you made that comment, and Chase Young had 2 sacks for the first time since like week 2, I think.
Yeah. Can't believe how that happens.
In more irony that Alex Smith was standing on the opposite sideline to see that happen. Just awful.
Yeah. It's just, I would bet you if you asked every Bengals fan, 99% of them would say, you knew they weren't going to be great. They're just rebuilding. And most of them would say the one thing we want out of this year is that Burrow not get this big injury. And well, that's what happened.
I mean, not want him to get hurt at all. This one's going to be, this is bad. I mean, it's his ACL, his MCL, severe structural damage. I don't know. So,
and he's young. I know he can come back, but you don't know how that's going to affect him long term. That could affect him in many ways.
No, and let's face it, he's going to be on a struggling team again when he does come back, and the potential exists to get re-injured.
They need to.
I'd hate to see him have a career like Andrew Luck, where it gets cut short.
I would perfect example. I was just going to say that the Bengals organization need to take a lesson. Well, they didn't take a lesson from Andrew Luck and the Colts, but they need to take their own lesson now. And please put something into their offensive line so that you can protect it. What good is a franchise quarterback if he can't be protected?
Yeah, just awful. They're probably going to lose out the rest of the way.
Yeah, probably.
They don't have anything behind him. And it's if they do lose out the rest of the way, the season's still a success in the way that they doubled their win total and they have a tie. So it's like it's 150% improvement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just, I hope Burrow comes out of this okay, because he's fun to watch and he's a good kid. And
he has to come out this way. If it's going to be a success, who cares about the wins? It's going to be if he comes back. That's when we know if it's a successful season. He can come back pretty healthy.
In the meantime, Washington gets a much needed win and vault into a tie for second place, 3-7.
I mean, Alex Smith, he just really impresses me. How I know the first game back was kind of like iffy, but since then he's been playing lights out. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
he has. And then they go and pick up another big win in Dallas and are in first place with 4 wins.
It's just incredible how the Bizarro world entered and the NFC East. How everyone was saying it's going to be like neck and neck, the Eagles and the Cowboys, and now I think it's going to be more like the other two teams that
I
one
agree.
of them is going to win.
I agree.
The ones that weren't expected to do anything.
Yeah, it's going to be Giants against Washington, I think, down the stretch.
And it's such a crazy thing. Washington's now technically in first with 4-7. Well, guess what? The Lions, who are in last place in the North, are 4-7.
Right.
So that's crazy.
What a game. Falcons Saints. There was a little bit of question because there was no Drew Brees and Kamara's foot was banged up or whatever. It started slow, but they took care of business as usual at home. Taysom Hill had a really good game. I still think he's Tim Tebow.
He does have we'll see. I guess we'll have to give him a couple more games, but it was one of the type of games that we kind of just saw coming.
Yeah.
The Saints offense didn't have to do a lot, just protect the ball. He did run for like 51 yards and score 2 touchdowns through his legs, which
he
goes back to the Tim Tebow thing.
He's built like Tim Tebow. Yeah.
And I think we mentioned, that the Saints defense, which is really, really good, kind of bottled up the Falcons offense, and that's what the key was.
I think the Saints are the most complete team in the NFC, so no surprise that they handled this at home at all.
Yeah.
Another snoozer. I mean, there was really Jacksonville came out, kicked a field goal right away on their first drive, and then that was the end. Game was over. Nothing interesting to report here at all, except the Steelers defense had 4 takeaways. 4 by the safeties, 2
This was one of This was one of those rare NFL games that the results were exactly what we thought it would be. No surprises, like you said. Personally, on a personal level, as a Steelers fan, did you really enjoy anything out of this?
Yeah, it was nice 2 weeks in a row not to have to sweat it.
Oh, right, you didn't have to sweat it out. Okay.
I would have preferred their running game is still struggling. Their offense got off to another slow start. I would have preferred to see another touchdown, maybe 10 more points on the board against a team like that. Because that whole first quarter they were sleepwalking again.
Okay.
But they took care of business. It was no contest. So, and
even more importantly, no major injuries, right?
Juju walked off with a gimp, but he hurt his ankle on his birthday.
That's the type of game that you don't want to get injured.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when we thought we had Baltimore 3 days later, but
right.
And that's not going to happen. So, This game, another one played out kind of the way I thought it would be close, but Houston would win it at home, and not much to say. Again,
I mean, the only thing I have to say is I got kind of lulled into thinking that Houston is a really bad team because of that horrific schedule that they had at the beginning of the season, where they kind of just, had the worst possible schedule you could have,
right.
And just started out so badly, and that kind of lulled me into thinking. And I'm not saying they're great or anything like that, but they're much better than what I thought they were. And it's Deshaun Watson. He's playing very well. He's quietly, because no one's really watching, having a great season. It's just that it's going to waste because their defense isn't that good. And like I said, they had a really bad start, but much more than enough to take care of New England, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, I think I said last week this is a 500 team in disguise.
Yeah,
they're not 2-7. So
right.
Yeah, business as usual. New England just doesn't have the horses.
Right.
Eagles at Browns. I think my opinion of Carson Wentz as a chucker is solidified. That dude is a turnover machine. He has 18 picks already.
Yep.
And how many fumbles? He has like
eight
fumbles, right?
Or I think he leads.
like 26 turnovers in half a season. Yeah, he's bad. He's bad.
I mean, my great question is: are the Browns ever going to play a game where there's not adverse weather conditions?
I know. They had bad weather again,
which plays right into them because their game plan is, try to keep the ball out of Mayfield's hands as much as possible and use your running game. And that's how they've been winning. They haven't been winning spectacular. It was a close game, but that's how they win. They keep Mayfield from being a turnover machine and causing the other quarterback to be a turnover machine, basically.
Right. The last 2 weeks it's been 3 yards in a bunch of mud. No cloud of dust. It's been very wet and soggy.
Yeah.
Cleveland. But they vaulted into second place with that win. So good on the Browns. I mean, I still don't think they're any kind of threat, but
no, not against really good teams. But just going back to Wentz real quick, this is what I hope doesn't happen to Joe Burrow, because I'm not saying it's a physical thing, but he hasn't been the same since he got almost the exact same injury as Burrow just got like a couple years ago. So it doesn't mean that it's a physical thing, but it could be like something related where mentally he's like, oh, is this going to happen? And is that like throwing him off a little bit?
So he's making ill-advised throws to get rid of the ball. He's playing scared. Yeah.
Maybe. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's.
He also, there were, his whole receiving core was beat up.
Yeah.
He could have been pressing. And in a year where he's had that many injuries, I would kind of give him the benefit of the doubt, but this is like third year of he's just not winning in big spots. He's not winning when they need him to. If you're going to be a championship quarterback, you've got to put the team on your back sometimes.
Yeah,
he's not capable of doing that. To me, he's Andy Dalton or Carson Palmer. He's one of those kind of guys. So this was the one Remember I said I kept scribbling it out?
Yep.
And I should have gone with my gut. And my gut was Carolina at home, and I kept scribbling it out. And I, just like on the test at school. This one was the one. Leave it to Detroit on the grass to just not be able to do anything. And that I would say they're poorly coached, but they're not coached anymore.
Yeah. And this was something I had definitely Carolina with 100%, except for like I know Bridgewater was kind of like game time, and I thought if Bridgewater was playing, I would have no doubt whatsoever to pick Carolina.
Oh, exactly.
And it didn't matter though.
Or McCaffrey without Bridgewater. Any combination
one of those
two guys, right?
Yeah. But it wouldn't. It shouldn't. It didn't even matter. It's like, are you going to show up to a game? I mean, I also give a lot of credit to Matt Rule and his coaching staff. I mean, that backup, is it PJ Walker? I think his name is. He played like he kind of had like he was familiar with it, like he's been playing all this season, being familiar with all these players. Great job on coaching him up to do pretty well in this game. And on the other side is like horrible. Like there was no coaching even then, when there were coaches on the sideline. It's like, where did they didn't even show up for the Lions.
No, they get shut out. I mean, granted, it's a road trip and they're out on natural turf, but come on. You're playing a team beat up with a backup quarterback, missing their star running back. This is the game you need to come home with. And you
get shut out to begin. I mean, to on top of that, not even show up. And that's why I think that this result of this game is the real reason why Patricia got fired.
Yeah, or in combination with the home blowout on Thanksgiving. Yeah. The game of the week turned out to be the game of the week.
It did.
Wow. Thank you, Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I mean, the Ravens they were playing a little bit better, but of course, the Titans defense, as we've said many times before, have a hard time getting off the field. So I expected the Ravens to do well, and they had a 10-point lead late and gave that up. I can't explain what's happened with Lamar Jackson and the offense. And the Ravens defense, I give them a lot of credit because they held Henry to like under 50 yards in the first half. They were doing their job. And of course, if they keep having to go back out there because their offense can't sustain drives, eventually he's going to wear them down, and as they did towards the end.
Yeah, he's one of those rare running backs that gets better as the game goes on. And as the defense gets tired of tackling him, he's a load.
Yeah.
You get him in the 22 to 25 carry range, chances are you're not going to win because he becomes impossible to tackle in the fourth quarter. And as you saw, the couple runs in overtime, it was almost like they didn't want any part of him anymore.
Yeah, they were beat up.
They were tired.
You're right. And now the Ravens are in big trouble. Forget the division's nowhere in sight for them, but they might not even make the playoffs at this point.
Yeah. Well, if the playoffs started today, they're on the outside looking in.
But look what's happened. They got Lamar Jackson he's been tested positive for COVID, which means minimum he doesn't play the next 2 games. I think
at least one.
Oh, at least one. I
10 days out.
Too. Okay,
yep, 10 days,
depending on how they reschedule, I guess. Right. But there definitely won't be beating Pittsburgh, and I don't know who knows after that.
Right. Yeah. No, they're in big trouble. And I was with you. I thought for sure that their running game would take advantage of Tennessee on third downs, especially.
Yeah.
I thought that he could connect with the tight ends quite a bit to move the sticks and just keep the offense on the field. And I thought they'd win one of those ugly, grinded out close games, like a 20-17 kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, hey, what do we know? This was a shock.
Yeah. I mean, the results were as expected, but geez, the way it ended.
I mean, the Jets putting up almost 30 points on this team.
Yep.
It shows how bad the Chargers defense really is. It's bad. They can't stop anybody.
They're only good enough to keep the opposing team in the game, basically.
Yeah.
Even the Jets who have no wins. It's like amazing how that quarterback Herbert, he does everything in his power to win, and it's like it goes all the way down to the wire. It's unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, and man, once again they blew a big lead. They had a 3-score lead.
Yep.
And watched it evaporate against a really bad, almost inept offense.
Yeah. I mean, he had like almost 300 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
It's amazing what he's doing. I think let's take a step back into unusual stats. I mean, unusually great stats. He leads as a quarterback, he leads the league in 50+ yards plays. A rookie. He can throw the long ball, he can throw the short ball, he can run. Jeez.
Yeah.
If they can fix the rest of the team, like especially the defense and some of the special teams, they could really be a contender in the next few years.
Yeah, they could. This one surprised me. Had this one wrong.
Yeah, this is why my whole week was bad.
But I also made the graphic wrong. It's backwards. I got it backwards.
That's all right.
It was in Denver.
They deserve.
I'm gonna flash this that I got it backwards. I screwed it up. You can laugh in the comments.
I was just waiting for something. Everything was going so well for them. I was just waiting for this game to happen sooner or later. I mean, we kept saying how the Dolphins were winning because they were playing well on all 3 phases of the game, and they were taking advantage of, game-changing plays by their special teams and their defense. And guess what didn't happen in this game? They didn't have one of those. Right. So you can't, at this point of their development, you can't put the whole game on Tua and the offense and win. So
and he got pulled. They had to put Fitzpatrick in to try to come back. Just not what we expected. I mean, they had a 5-game winning streak. You'd figure at some point it's going to come to an end, but I didn't think it would come to an end against that team in particular. So.
Yeah, I mean, he is still a rookie, I guess, and he's going to have bad games. He wasn't moving the ball at all. And to his credit, afterwards, he did go in with a foot injury, but to his credit, he said that had nothing, what happened today had nothing to do with that. I just wasn't moving the ball.
Right.
So I give him some credit for that, but
hurts their playoff push.
Yeah, for sure.
I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but the division might be stretched now. But you never know. You never know. The Bills are very Jekyll and Hyde themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say one last thing on the Dolphins. This game showed the one glaring weakness that they have on defense. I've been saying how they've been pretty good on defense. The one glaring weakness they have is that they don't stop the run. And usually what happens is they have one of those quick turnovers at the beginning of the games, and they get out ahead, and then they put the opposing team in a position where they have to pass all the time. So you haven't seen that, but in this game you saw the Broncos ran all over them, which meant that their quarterback wasn't making the mistakes that he usually makes. So.
Right. Another shocker.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
I thought the Vikings were rolling, they're getting ahead of steam and they were going to make a run here. They went from 1-5 to 4-5. They looked like they were going to leapfrog the Bears. Not get the division, but at least challenge for a wild card spot, maybe. And this game really hurt and set them back.
Yeah, and the Cowboys have been playing a little bit more competitive lately. Not winning games, but their defense has been getting better. And what happened specifically in this game is they got their All-Pro lineman Zach Martin got back. They had another starting line. I forget his name. He was playing, and it tells you what a difference it is when you have your offensive line, somewhat back. Your good offensive line. Look what the offense did. Scoring 31 points.
Yeah.
Against a really good Minnesota defense. Their rookie Lamb, they made
CD Lamb,
made this ridiculous catch. And when it wasn't a long ball, but he basically, while falling down, twisted 180 degrees and reached up to grab the ball. It's like, what the heck? That's been one of the bright spots for them, and I hope his career doesn't go to waste in the coming years. But it tells you what a difference having an offensive line makes.
Well, for me too, there was Andy Dalton kept bringing them back. They were trading blows back and forth. But Minnesota scores, Dallas came right back. They'd score, Minnesota go down and score. So they're just punch, counter punch the whole time. So Dalton looked a lot better than he did the first start or two he made earlier in the year after Dak got hurt. He looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, great game here. Another one.
Yeah. This was a great game. Yeah. Very surprising to me at the beginning. This was one of the games I got to watch a lot of, not the whole game, but when I saw the 28-14, this Colts defense, who I've been like talking up the last few weeks, 28 points in the first half. I was like, what the heck is going on here? What are they doing? So the Packers 28-14 at halftime. And then the second half was like completely different. The Colts defense did show up for the second half. Held them to like 3 points. The Colts actually they came all the way back and took the lead and had a chance to just put it away in regulation. They had the ball deep into the Packer territory for a field goal. Fumble. And though that wasn't the fumble, that's when their offensive line, not kidding, had 3 consecutive holding balls.
Right. They kept backing up.
And then they were out of field goal range. They couldn't put the game away, and they gave Rodgers the ball back.
3rd and 33 or something, didn't they? Yeah.
And I'm like, well, of course, with a couple of minutes left, Rodgers is going to maybe win the game, but at least get him back to a field goal, which is what happened, and they went into overtime, and that's when the Packers got the ball first and fumbled it away, of course.
Right. Yeah, boy. What a game, though.
That was a great game.
And Rivers got hurt. He went out for a bit. He came back. He's hobbled. Yeah. It was a throwback game, and it was kind of it was like a playoff. It felt like a playoff atmosphere.
It did.
Looking forward to some postseason football soon. Another great game that night. We had the Chiefs and the Raiders. Wow. What a heavyweight fight this turned out to be.
I
thought there was no way the Raiders could sweep the series. I thought there was no way in hell. And they almost did.
They did everything but finally win the last 2 minutes. I mean, it's like I mean, as much as I love the NFL, I don't get a chance to really watch an entire game much because things just too many distractions. But this was one where I pretty much watched like 98% of it, and I didn't regret it at all. I was riveted with this, how they went back and forth. And Mahomes did the Mahomes thing, and I wasn't surprised at that, but I was surprised at how well the Raiders offense played. Yeah. Derek Carr played fantastic. I mean, I guess it could have been the Kansas City defense too, but geez, oh my gosh, he played just as well as Mahomes did.
He's having a great year, very quietly having a great year.
Yeah.
So is Jacobs, and they got a lot of weapons on that team. I was actually I was putting my Christmas tree up while I was watching it. Okay. And it's funny because the last 2 times I put it up, I was somehow watching a Raiders game. Yeah, no, but it was fantastic. If the Raiders made any mistakes, it was leaving 1 minute and 43 seconds for Patrick Mahomes with a timeout.
Yeah,
he just made it look too easy at the end, just too easy. And Kelsey, he was wide open.
I don't know how that happened.
How is he so open? I mean,
especially him. How did they leave him open? I mean, it speaks to Mahomes' ability to extend plays like he does all the time, and that's basically what happens. Sooner or later, your defense is going to have a breakdown. And you were talking about how Gruden has this on the Raiders side, what is he on year 2 or 3 of this long range, plan? But
year 3. Yeah,
he's got this team really going forward. They're going to be a contender for they're already a contender now in terms of making the playoffs, but they're going to be like a Super Bowl team, I think, in the next few years if you keep.
I agree.
And this year, if they make the playoffs, which I think they will, I don't think any team wants to see them coming.
They're going to be a tough out. They are definitely going to be a tough. And Monday night we had another classic Tom Brady egg lay. The Rams actually look really balanced too. I'm shocked at how balanced they look. Although I still don't trust Jared Goff in a big spot, they look pretty solid. All 3 phases. And boy, Brady looked bad again. This is not going to end well in Tampa Bay.
Probably not. I thought Tampa Bay as a team played well. He didn't play well, but I thought they played the rest of the team played fairly well. But he's making these really bad mistakes. I don't know what's going on. And you're right about the Rams. I kind of fell asleep on them, and it's like I kept just thinking, how. I guess I'm still thinking about how inept they were in that Super Bowl. I got to stop thinking that way because they've improved their defense quite a lot. That defense is great, and Goff, as long as he finds some kind of comfort level in that offense, he does very well.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. For some reason, I think it's like their offense. Like they don't have Gurley, and they've got this running back by committee that I don't really trust for some reason. But, watching them the other night, I mean, they just looked pretty darn good. I mean, you got the Saints, you got Seattle, and then the Rams are right there, I think. They're top 3.
Yeah, they're surprising.
The NFC. They look really good. And for Brady, to me, it's Bruce Arians' offense. Okay. And without trying to come off as some kind of expert on it, I did hear Dan Orlovsky break down that offense, and he was talking about their lack of motion. They line up in standard formations. There's no motion anywhere. They make Brady take a 5 to 7 step drop, throw into zones. He's just not. It's not what he's doing. He's a West Coast offense guy.
Yep.
He's not this, and they're going to get him killed. He's getting the shit beat out of him, and he's throwing a lot of picks. So, it's not. I don't think him and Arians get along, and I think it's going to come to a head at some point. If not this year, definitely by the end of next year. I don't see this lasting long.
Yeah, I mean, he is getting up there too, but I haven't really noticed. Do you think that like Brady is getting? I don't think he's probably getting as much of the freedom as he was before in terms of on the field call. Is he getting any kind of freedom at all to like change anything or put people in motion?
I'm sure he can change plays, but the plays are all designed so. The way he was describing it, the plays are archaic. They're from an NFL from 10 years ago.
Yeah, he's probably not that comfortable with it then.
He doesn't look it. His body language on the sidelines is bad. Like he doesn't look like he did in New England, and I think he's already thinking, "Boy, I thought Belichick sucked. This is even worse." He's got all the toys he wants, but I don't think he's happy.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably not going to end well.
I said that when they brought him. I know Bruce Arians. He got Ben Roethlisberger killed in Pittsburgh. You know who that guy is. Whoops. So, you came up with a cool little segment we want to call "Put a Fork in Them."
Good Thanksgiving type.
Yeah, I've got 7 teams here. We're going to put a fork in. Let's see. Do you want to do AFC or NFC?
Oh, I guess we'll do AFC first.
AFC first. Well, in the AFC, we only have 7 teams out of the 8 divisions in both conferences. So
yeah, they're not that many.
Not that many. These are teams that we couldn't put. We're not going to put a fork in a team with 2 wins.
Yeah, that's too. Because
that's too.
Everybody does that.
It's got to be a team that's kind of on the bubble.
Right.
So, the first one we have. Oh, look, John Madden's here.
He's really good. He's good at this. Yeah, right off the bat, Patriots.
Hopping out of the turducken, New England Patriots.
Yeah, they actually, like, I thought they were kind of getting in a position where they could maybe make a playoff run with the win. You know, they barely beat the Jets, but then they followed that up with a game against a win against Baltimore, and I thought they were on their way. If they, I thought that if they could beat Houston, which I picked them to beat Houston, they would hit 500, and then from there you could probably try to get one of those wild card spots, but. This was a bad loss this week, and I think we could put a fork in them.
I was about to put a fork in them, and I kind of felt the same way you did. Like, if they somehow pull off a win in Houston, which I did not have them doing,
right?
If they surprise me and pull it off and get to 5-5, then I think they would have a legitimate shot of at least making a run. I still don't think they'd make the playoffs, but losing in Houston, 6 losses, they're done.
And they have a pretty good, tough schedule and going forward too.
They're going to struggle to make 8-8 at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was they had a nice little run there. Started strong, went into a slump, made a little run, had me believing for a week. But
which ironically puts them in a bad position to restructure, because now if they end up like around 500, that doesn't give them a high draft pick.
Right, they're going to waddle in the middle there, and
yeah,
they need a lot of help with receivers, and
they
need a lot of help. Period. So the next team, the Broncos, even though they won, they're only 4 wins, 4-7.
And in that division where you have 2 very tough teams, ahead of them that that are just primed to be playoff teams and contenders. I mean, they can't get over that. They're just very young, and being young means you make a lot of mistakes, and they're not ready for the playoff run right now.
No, but a big win over Miami.
Yes,
shows that they have they have the medal. It's just the experience they need.
Yep.
So, good on them. But you're right. I mean, they're probably going to end up with 6, maybe 7 wins this year. But their trajectory is up. They still need a quarterback, though.
Yeah.
So the rest of the teams are in the NFC. So we have none in the East because that thing's totally up for grabs.
I would love to put a fork in all 4 of them, except one of them's got to win the division, and they're all still in it. So.
And they're all in it, right? So we go to the North. You and I agree on. Well, this is interesting. This is
it is interesting. So, I know.
We'll start with the obvious one. We'll put a fork in Detroit.
Yeah.
And this is before they fired Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
Now we should have put 2 forks in it.
That's a good point. and I think we would have put a fork in them after the Carolina loss, but now it's like they follow that up with the Thanksgiving debacle. It's like double fork. Yeah.
Double fork. And lose their coaching staff. So triple fork.
And I feel bad for Stafford.
I do too. I mean, how many years does the kid have left in his prime?
Yep.
He's probably already on the downswing. So, 2-3 more really good seasons before he starts to decline. And they're just wasting it. They're wasting it. It's a shame. The next team we wanted to put a fork in was the Vikings. For the same reason.
Yeah.
They showed it like they were just like New England.
Yeah, that's the perfect.
They caught fire. They looked like they were going to make a run, and then they go and lay an egg against the Cowboys.
It's the Cowboys too.
And now they're 4-6, and that's just not going to get the job done. So,
it's a tough uphill battle right now. And I actually thought they might still have a good chance if their loss was against somebody quality team, but against the Cowboys. That shows you that they're not going to do it.
Right, and they were home.
Yeah, and they were home,
which makes it even worse. So, were they home? I'm just looking up. Yeah, they were. They were Dallas, Minnesota. So they're disappointing. I mean, this was a team coming into the year. We thought Minnesota was going to be right there at the end.
Yeah,
not so much. And then the one I couldn't wait to put a fork in this team. I wanted to put a fork in this team like week 7. The Bears,
which is kind of ironic, because they're still 500 now, or are they still above 500?
They're 5-5.
Okay,
but they were 5-1, and you can just see it coming. Even when they were winning, they were
they were bad.
just they were that team that was like digging their fingernails on, just climbing. Oh, they barely getting through these games. And Foles is out now, and they got to go back to Trubisky. It's a mess. They're not good. Their defense is outstanding. Their offense is so subpar.
But in a league where it's really a lot on the offense, it's like you can't compete with a bad offense.
Their offense can't. They struggle to score 20 points a week, and that's not going to get the job done.
Yeah.
And leaving their defense on the field the whole game.
And I think their offense struggles to even score 10 points. I think a lot of their points comes off special teams and their defense. So it's like that's even worse.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you have Cordarrelle Patterson giving them good field position all the time too, and they still can't move the ball. They're not good. It's a shame. And it's amazing. You're right. They're 5-5, but they're out. They're done. We have one from the South. I think we both like this team.
Yeah.
But they've taken on too much water in the last 2 weeks.
And the injuries have kind of piled up now. I think definitely Matt Rule and his coaching staff are doing a great job with this team. And I do see them being a contender in the next few years, but it's too much for this year.
To me, they're the NFC version of Denver, except they have a good quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
They're on that up trajectory, and you can see the potential in the team. They're gritty, they're tough, but they make too many young people mistakes, too many youthful mistakes.
I'd love to see them play a full season, hopefully next year with a healthy quarterback, a healthy Christian McCaffrey, and the second year that with this coaching staff. I'd love to see that. It's
a shame Luke Kuechly retired prematurely.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
If they still had him in the middle there, making his 120 tackles a year, they could really be a force to reckon with quickly. But you're right. I want to see Bridgewater next year totally healthy for all 16 games with McCaffrey. That'll be something. And DJ Moore. I mean, that'll be something to see. This team could quickly turn this around. In the NFL, you can turn it around in a year or two.
Yeah.
That easy to do. So, and we have one in the West, which the West is loaded with playoff teams, but now the team without a home has to, they're done.
Oh my gosh, yeah. On top of everything that's happened to them, everything as bad has happened to the San Francisco 49ers. The injuries piled up early on, not their quarterback, their best receivers been out for most of the year. And in that division, that's probably the toughest division in the league. There was a point where when they were healthy, I thought there was a chance that all 4 teams in that division were going to make the playoffs, but it's too much for them, too much to overcome.
I did too. Remember when they got Jimmy G back and they won 2 games in a row, and it looked like, wow, all 4 teams could make the playoffs. And then the injuries started piling up again. And they've got the Super Bowl curse, the losing team Super Bowl curse.
Yeah.
For sure. So it's a shame, but they're a talented team, and they'll no doubt be back.
They could make a quick comeback, next year. Also, just speaking of which, I mean, they could make a quick turnaround.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're a championship team, and they've got a championship mentality, and they have Shanahan's a great coach.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt if they can stay healthy, they'll be back. I think that this was all due to injuries. Just bad luck.
Wonder if he's going to try to bring in another quarterback just to compete with Jimmy G or whatever. Just to see. I could see Darnold here.
Oh, Sam Darnold. That's
trading for if the Jets are going to do that. I don't know.
That's interesting. And they certainly have a bunch of running backs and receivers they could give the Jets.
Yeah,
they're loaded in those 2 positions. So
true.
That might set up. That could happen.
Yeah, maybe.
That'll be fun to watch. But all right. Well, good night, John Madden. We'll bring you back for the playoffs or something. It was nice to see John Madden. We all loved John Madden, did we?
Yeah, not? I always loved with his Thanksgiving coverage with all the turkey legs. Somehow he always had 6 turkey legs in one turkey.
So let's talk turkey, Edson.
Yeah.
What was your record?
Oh yeah, that was like a really bad week for me. On top of the fact that the Dolphins lost, I picked really bad.
So, what'd you end up?
I have to look it up. I think I have to like count up. I had it upstairs and then I kind of forgot to bring it back.
Oops, wait. I have to edit this.
Well, basically, if you have your record,
I'm
there are
9-4.
two worse. Okay.
So
9-4.
4.
So 7. I don't know. 9. So 7 and 6, I guess. Yeah, because I got both. I got both of the ones you had right that we competed against head to head. So yeah, that was a bad week for me, all around.
Oh,
Dolphins lost, and I had bad picks.
Yeah. Right there, I updated my record, but forgot to hit save. So, and then you were 7 and 6.
Yep. Bad.
Okay. So my
That
overall
certainly makes it interesting.
It does. I am now 32 and 20, and you are 34 and 18. So
wow.
I put it to 2.
Yep.
From 5 to 2. I'm on pins and needles here. Can I catch you? We'll find out with our week 12 picks coming up right after this program. Anything else you want to talk about from week 11, or we wrap this puppy right up?
Yeah, I think the whole stick a fork in him to kind of put a nice wrap at the end.
We'll stick a fork in him. Sorry, teams. All right. We will be back on our Pick'em game, our Pick'em show in a few moments. But before we go, just want to remind you, you can follow us at GeekTime Net on the Tweeter machine, the Faceplant machine, and the Instagrams, or just go to GeekTimeNetwork.com where you can get GeekTime Radio, GeekTime articles, watch GeekTime videos. You can write comments and yell at us and find anything you want on there.
Yeah, I'd love to get criticism.
We haven't gotten any. We need some. All right. So we will wrap this puppy up and we'll be back with our Pick'em show right after this. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure you click the little bell icon to be notified anytime someone from our show drops new content here. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.
Say, kids, what time is that?